The PlayStation 2 released at various points around the world throughout the year 2000. It competed with Sega's Dreamcast, Nintendo's GameCube and Microsoft's original Xbox. Although saying it competed with those three other companies doesn't do the PlayStation 2 justice at all. The PS2 is the best-selling video game console of all time, having sold over 155 million units worldwide, as confirmed by Sony. Over 3,800 game titles have been released for the PS2, with over 1.5 billion copies sold. The numbers speak for themselves. The GameCube sold only 22 million units worldwide, the Xbox sold around 24 million, and sadly the Dreamcast sold 9.1 million, but Sega pulled the plug on it quite early, and maybe I'll do a video on the Dreamcast some point down the road. For now, it's all PS2 talk, and you have to admit it's impressive that the PlayStation 2 almost tripled the combined sales of all of its competitors. Nothing has beaten the PS2's record yet, and who knows, a company may never sell 155 million units again. Although in saying that, Nintendo can't keep Nintendo Switches on the shelves, and it still has a couple of years left in its bones. Before we get into today's video, please give the video a thumbs up. It helps me getting recommended to more people just like you. I love the PS2. It's been at my house for as long as I can remember, and I have so many great memories playing this thing. I mentioned earlier that around 3,800 games came out, and it definitely feels like it. There's no shortage of amazing titles to keep you busy. I'll talk about games in just a bit, but I want to mention the heavy hitters like The Simpsons Hit and Run, Gran Turismo 4, Killzone, Test Drive Unlimited. The list goes on because the amount of games feels endless. But first, I want to talk about the different hardware revisions of the PS2. There were technically more than two, but visually there was basically only two. The first of which is the one on eBay that seems to be the most common, is the original or fat PS2. This isn't the one I grew up with, so when I got mine a couple of weeks back, I was taken back by just how big it is. My one has a FireWire port on the front of it. FireWire is like the general name for the port. I think Apple owns that name. On the front of the PS2 it says S400. Serial 400. The point of the port is to allow people to link two PlayStation 2 consoles together, allowing local multiplayer, but it was never really used, so that's why your fat PS2 may just have blue plastic covering it. I'm not sure if they removed it from the board entirely or just covered it up, but anyway, another thing that's exclusive to the fat PS2 is the expansion bay on the back of it. It allowed you to put the PS2 hard disk into the back of it, which would allow you to back up saves, reduce load times, and it gave you an Ethernet port. Other than the tray disk drive and being a lot bigger, that's the main differences between it and the slim PS2. This is my slim PS2. I've had it for a very long time and it has seen better days. Mine doesn't read games anymore, but you'll notice it has a top loading disk drive, meaning there's less room for things to go wrong, less moving parts. It's got an IR blaster on the front for a media remote, and on the back no expansion bay, but there is an Ethernet port built into this model, making online play that little bit easier. The slim model is also quieter. I honestly don't know which model I like the most, but it's nice having both to compare the two. It really is amazing just how much they were able to shrink the machine in a few short years. Let's talk accessories, and I really only have two. There's the memory card, which you can save your games to. Well, I have 4 memory cards. The most common I've seen is 8 megabytes, but I have this unofficial 64 megabyte one. An 8 megabyte card is going to save a lot of games though, so don't worry if that's all you have. But you will need one to save your games. Then you've got the DualShock 2, which is the DualShock 1 but in a different colour. I love this controller design, so I don't have an issue with them reusing it. By the time we got the PS4 though, it was kinda nice that they changed it. Something I like about the PS2 is that your PS1 controller, memory card and games will work with your PS2, adding to its overall value. Graphics on the PS2 are alright. The trouble is getting the games to look good on a modern TV can be pretty difficult. I have a PS2 to HDMI adapter that works really well, and they are not expensive at all. You can get them on eBay for like £5. Although since writing this script I've got an Elgato HD, I got the old one because the old Elgato comes with a cable for recording PS3, but the PS3 and the PS2 use the same port for a composite cable, so you're able to just plug your PS2 straight into the Elgato and it comes out the other end with HDMI, and that's also how I'm able to record the video for this video. But I said the graphics look alright. Some games look pretty good though, all things considered. Gran Turismo 4, Kingdom Hearts and Ty the Tasmanian Tiger all look great and are a blast to play on this system. We're getting to the point where PS2 games are considered to be classics, and I'm going to talk about some of my favourites now. Spider-Man 2 went down in history as being untouched in terms of fun web swinging throughout New York. Obviously, when Spider-Man PS4 came out, it did a pretty good job at nailing the web swinging, but it still doesn't feel as good as the PS2 game to me. Combat on PS4 is amazing and obviously so much better, but if you play Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 back to back with Spider-Man PS4, you'll immediately notice that Spider-Man PS4 actually feels much slower in comparison. Then you have to admire what Spider-Man 2 was doing at the time. It was the first game for many people that allowed you to feel like a superhero, swinging around New York, fighting random criminals and completing fun missions. A lot of Spider-Man PS4's DNA is pulled straight from this game, and it really shows. This was true open world, pure fun gameplay that really took people by surprise and has remained a well-known classic throughout all these years. It's one of the first games people think of or mention whenever the PS2 is brought up, and that's with good reason. Shadow the Hedgehog was really cool because it was 2005 and everything was edgy, so what did we do? We gave the hedgehog amnesia and guns and the ability to be pure evil. Okay, I'm kind of joking about Shadow the Hedgehog, but I'm kind of not. I do genuinely enjoy this game, and I think it was a pretty interesting breakaway from the standard Sonic the Hedgehog formula before every game became a breakaway from the standard Sonic the Hedgehog formula. But I mean, this game has a great soundtrack. It has branching paths, which I suppose does add replay value, and the gameplay, say what you want about the gameplay, but I find it fun and think it's worth talking about, and I probably will end up doing a video on Shadow the Hedgehog. Crash of the Titans was such a breath of fresh air for the Crash Bandicoot series. No, I'm actually joking with that one. That game's awful and it's a sorry excuse for a Crash game. What isn't a sorry excuse is Gran Turismo 4. That was a pretty good segue. I mean, there isn't much to say other than Gran Turismo 4 is an amazing racing game and the graphics never fail to disappoint. Gran Turismo 4 is hands down one of the best looking PlayStation 2 titles, and for that fact alone, it is worth checking out. I'm going to talk about Call of Duty 2, the big red one. It's the only Call of Duty I have for the PS2, and I mean, I really enjoy it for what it is. It's just the roots of what I love today from a Call of Duty campaign. The campaign does a pretty decent job of having varied missions, whether it's you running around shooting people, you're in an AA gun or a tank. The game is just a solid Call of Duty campaign, and I mean, it's dirt cheap, so it's worth checking out. That's it for games I'm going to talk about. Obviously, there is so much more, like the Ratchet and Clank trilogy, the Jak and Daxter trilogy, Shadow of the Colossus, the brilliant God of War games, which I have a video on the first one, so please check it out once you're done with this one. I'm not going into detail about them here because of that video, and I plan to do a video on the second game. The library is massive, and there is something for absolutely everybody. RPGs and JRPGs, shooters, action games, sports games, you won't fail to find something good to play on PS2. And because of the age of the system, the games aren't expensive at all. It might be a good time to start collecting though, because I have a feeling the games are going to creep up in price soon enough as nostalgia for the console becomes more and more widespread. I suppose it all comes down to the question, should you buy a PS2 in 2020? And the answer is absolutely yes. I would recommend either model to everyone and anyone who has an interest in retro games or just wants a good starter system to collect for. You probably wouldn't be going for a complete collection because where are you going to put 3,800 games? But it's fun to start off with as it's cheap to get a lot of fun experiences. What games would I recommend people start with? God of War and The Simpsons Hit and Run. They're both classics and you'll love them. That's it for today's video. I hope I helped you make a decision if you were on the fence about buying a PlayStation 2 in 2020. Look, these retro games are super fun to collect for and the games are amazing at unbeatable prices, so you should get a PS2 if you're interested. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting that like button as it really helps me out with getting recommended to more people just like you, and if you really enjoyed, you could always subscribe. If you want to stay up to date with the channel, you can find me over on Twitter. I'm pretty active over there, so why don't you say hi? My Twitter handle is @AnthonyJGaming. I'm also on the PlayStation Network as Anthony J Gaming. And finally, you can find me over on Instagram as Anthony Joseph Gaming. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.